on Jesus, all things are possible. I can mount on wings like eagles and soar. When I call on Jesus, mountains are gonna fall. 'Cause he'll move heaven and earth to come rescue me when I call.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good evening, good evening. It is another It Is Possible Tuesday with Sanjo. And I have a very special guest with me today. I've known this person for more than 30 years, and I know that you will be blessed by her story and inspired by her. But let me just remind you that God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for prosperity and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." And Jesus beheld them and said unto them, "With men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." Once again, welcome to another It Is Possible Tuesday with Samuel. My special guest, some people know her as Sister T, Marjorie, Elder, Brian's mother, Harry's wife, but she's my friend. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
It has been a long time coming. I've always wanted to have you on the podcast because you're one of the persons that I've found to be an inspiration to me, because you are so creative. That's one of the things. You're creative, you're humble, you're intelligent, you're warm, and people gravitate to you. And I want to share you, my friend, with my listeners. But I don't want to tell your story. I want you to tell your story. So tell me your name, tell me where you were born, tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Okay, well, my name is Marjorie. I was Marjorie Williams before I became Thompson. All right, well, I was born in what you would call rural St. Mary. We in Jamaica, we say country. I was born in the country. And I was born in those days when you didn't go to hospital to be delivered. You were delivered at
At
home.
home.
Your mother, they said, took him to have
Yeah.
baby, and you'd run go call this lady down the road.
Yes.
And yes, in those days, I was born. I have my mom with me now, and I
Yes.
often ask her, weren't you guys afraid that something would happen? They weren't afraid. God seemed to have gifted those ladies in those times.
With
Yes,
strength.
with special knowledge
Yes.
and ability
Yes.
to deliver babies.
Yes.
So that's where I was born.
Where in St. Mary?
It's a little district outside of Port Maria, the capital, 3 miles from Port Maria, called Albion Mountain. So it's up the hill from Port Maria. Port Maria is the town, the capital of St. Mary.
Okay.
Right? That's where I was born and grew up there. Um, I am
Primary school.
the only girl from my mom, um, 5 brothers, right? Primary school right there in Albion Mountain. And I think God had special favor on me because I had a terrible accident when I was only 7 years old. I
Okay.
bear the scars even now. And that's an interesting story. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have
Oh
time
yes, we have
to
time.
hear
We
about
have
it.
time, and I know you want to hear the story. So yes, Marjorie, tell us
Oh,
about it.
all right. So I went to what we call infant school. Yes. And then it was time for me to go to big
Big
school,
school.
which is primary school. So my mom sent me to a little township near Albion Mountain now. That's, where you had the just acres and, those
Yes.
things. My aunt lived there, so she said, no, you're going to go to big school, you have to get uniform.
Uniform.
So she was pregnant with her third child. I have one elder brother, I'm second, and she was pregnant with the third. So she said, I'm sending you down to your aunt now, and she's going to take you to the dressmaker to get a uniform made. And I remember that we walked, my elder brother and I was just 1 year older than me, and we walked down to that little township and we went to Auntie. And Auntie, we reached down there in late evening. And Auntie said, why she send you so late? And the cook done. finish
The
cooking
cook,
and serve
the
dinner.
dinner.
But you have to go get something. So I'm sending you out to the shop to get something. But you not going, that is me, because I was a little one.
Right.
You go inside and sit down, and then my cousins and my brother should go to the shop.
Yeah.
When my aunt thought I was in the house, my cousins go round to the other side of the other door and say, come out, come, we carrying you up to the shop because jukebox is up there.
Music.
And you can punch music. We're going to show you how to punch music. I was excited because I didn't know anything about these things. We don't know about these things.
No.
We didn't even have electricity up where I came from.
Wow.
So to go to the township and see those things, it was exciting. So my aunt didn't know I was not in the house. We went out to the shop. We bought the things that she sent, and on our way back, I can't tell you what happened. I can't tell you when I got hit. I can't tell you anything. I was just little, so I don't know. The next thing I know, the next morning, I woke up in a hospital.
So you were in a car accident?
A truck hit me down.
A truck?
We were walking, so we were in walking distance to the shopping house. So we walked along the road, got the things, and we were walking back.
And the truck hit you?
And the truck hit me. I don't know how, I can only tell you what people have told me before I was conscious about what's going on. But they say it's a big truck. The truck was so big and high, yes, that the driver could not see a little girl down there. And the fender of the truck grabbed onto me, and they said the truck pulled me along the road. And they said that these people bawled out to the driver, see you hit down, somebody beat me, And that's when he stopped, jumped out of the truck, and he was so frightened that he ran, and people thought I was dead. All they could see was blood. And people start bawling, country people start bawling, kill a little picnic. Then, my cousins and my brother
must have been frightened.
Frightened and confused, and would dash home to go tell my auntie. I hear that my auntie put on piece of ball in there. She rolled because she said my mom sent me down there in her care, and now she make her give me dead. Bawling. But I understand that somebody had the presence of mind to say, throw some water on her, throw some water, and if she shake her head, it means she's alive. And they dash a bucket of water on me. And I shook my head and said, she not dead, she not dead. For your viewers, I know you have lots of viewers. So
she's
she not
alive.
dead means she's alive. She is not dead.
Oh, to God be the glory.
And they took me to the hospital. So that was one episode in my life.
Alright, now I'm laughing at how you've told it, and when tragedy strikes us, quite often in the black community in Jamaica, one of the responses is to laugh about it because we are in shock. Alright? We have the onlookers and your family crying, a lot of blood, you are in hospital. What do you remember after the accident? How did it affect you? What was the physical damage that happened to you at 7?
So, okay, as I said, I was just a little girl, so I wasn't understanding much. I just woke up in the hospital, the Port Maria General Hospital at the time. I just saw my hand tied up, my left hand it was, tied up, and I was looking and saying, what happened to me? By this time, my mom now had come down, and everybody was, hoping I would wake up. And I woke up, and they were talking to me and saying, you feeling any pain? And trying to tell me, trying not to tell me, but to tell me what happened. And I don't know if I would understand. But they said a truck hit me down, if I remember. I didn't remember anything. I didn't spend much time at that hospital because, that was a type, lower type hospital.
Right.
So I was put in an ambulance. I didn't know what it was at the time, and taken to Kingston, where there's a children's hospital.
So
I was put in the children's hospital. I don't even think it was called Bustamante yet
at the time.
It was children's hospital. So I was taken there. And do you know that I spent between that and Mona Rehab, I spent about 1 year, almost a year.
Away from home. And your mom. Because St. Mary
far
to Kingston is a far.
It has to be a trip every time for them to come. Poor people to travel so far to come. So I didn't get visits often because it was too hard for my mother. We were a poor family. She was pregnant at the time and all of that. So I didn't get much visits. And at the hospital, It was strange for me. Strange. It's the first time I'm coming out
Of your
of
home.
my rural, coming to hospital, so it was strange. The hospital looked like it didn't, thinking back now, it didn't even have a theater, operating theater. Because I remember that every time they were going to do something to my hand, they put on a green gown on me and they put me in a vehicle, and that must have been an ambulance. And we would drive somewhere, and they would push me on a trolley into somewhere, and they would put this thing over my nose, and I would fall asleep. When I wake up, I was back in the children's hospital, and my hand was.
Wow.
So my hand was badly damaged. My left hand was badly damaged. I did several surgeries because I can remember several times going into that van, putting on the green gown, driving away. And I guess they were trying to save as much of the hand as possible. I eventually lost the pointer on my left hand, and the thumb is immobile, I would say, because there were so much scar tissues and damage. So I was right-handed, happily. So no damage to me. Up to today, I am amazed at how God spared my head and my right hand from a big, how much wheeler truck to I'm amazed every day. I'm amazed. God was there. God saved me. You know, God saved me.
As you talk about that, I was sitting in a car recently, and a lorry or truck passed by, and you know that because the truck is so high, the wheel of the truck, if you're in a car, is quite close to you. It's face level. So I can imagine as a child, you and the wheel would have been at the same height, and then the truck is all the way up there. Nobody's able to see it. So,
Yes.
you know.
I know that God and the angels spared my head. I sit down and I think, as I grow and I learn, I accept the Lord and I'm learning. I said, I can imagine the angels. One angel was holding my right hand to save it. One angel was fighting for my left hand, because they said, you have two angels to every one of the angels. And I said, I imagine that Jesus, because when there's a sticky situation, Jesus comes down, I imagine that Jesus came down and held my head.
Oh my.
And saved my head.
That is fantastic. That's a wonderful way to look at it.
Yes, I said, Michael came down for me and saved my head. And so when you talk about creativity and whatever, I know God spared me for a purpose. I know the devil wanted to kill me, but Jesus saved me for a purpose. Yes.
And for I want because I have been the beneficiary of your friendship and your knowledge and your creativity. I want you to share that with the listeners. Tell me, when did you know that you had a gift for writing plays and songs and things like that?
Well, I didn't even see that a gift or anything like that. Because when I went, can you imagine being away from your rural town? When the time they had to take me to rehab now, because as a little girl, I had to learn how to operate with a hand that was so very much damaged. Right? So they took me into rehabilitation, and there taught me how to hold things again, how to write, I was so very impressed by the nurses at the hospital that I said, I'm going to be a nurse. I want to help like how I see these nurses. Because at that time in the rehab center where I was, there were a lot of people with polio.
Yes.
So their feet, they couldn't go around. Nothing was wrong with my feet. So I would run up and down and do things for them. They would ask me, bring a med pan for me, bring this, go buy that for me. And it was a joy. I just ran up and down and help them. And I loved it, and I said, well, I'm going to be a nurse when I grow up. I want to be like these nurses helping people. So in me, that helping started. I didn't know that there were many helping professions that time. I just knew I was being impressed at that time. So when I went back to the town, when it was a day for me to be discharged and come home, I mean, when people hear that my mother, they call my mother Miss B. Miss B going for her daughter today, It was like the Queen was coming to Jamaica. People lying out of the gate, to see when the taxi was coming back, to get a sight of me. It's a close-knit district.
Yes, and a whole year.
And people know that Miss B daughter gone to hospital so long and she not come back. Everybody want to see what was left of me, So when I was coming back, man, in the car, people stand up at them gate looking, she coming, she coming. Oh, it was so poor me that I didn't understand, you know.
But it was also the
But
joy that you had overcome the tragedy and
yes,
you were
yes, they
alive.
were caring and they were,
Yes.
you know, happy for Miss B daughter coming back.
Yeah.
So I came back and went back to school, to big school now, and you know, I was the ninth finger girl. That's what the children call me. You know, children are something
Yes.
else, you know.
Yes.
I was the ninth finger girl, but then they don't know me now, you know. I
Yes,
am
because
new in the
music.
school
Yes.
and the ninth finger girl.
Oh, but did that bother you?
No, because guess what to me? Ninth finger was normal to me. I did not remember myself
With
before
10.
with 10.
Yes.
I don't remember myself. I don't remember anything about my life before the
What is
accident.
it?
And I
Wow.
don't know if it was deliberate for God to just take that
Forget that
picture out of
subject.
my
Yes,
mind.
yes.
All I knew is normal to me. So they were calling me ninth finger, but ninth finger was normal to me. You know?
And it's so interesting that you were not bothered by the name calling
No.
because you had, even at such a young age, you had accepted yourself. And
Yes.
do you think it had to do with the fact that you were seeing people with polio?
Yes. And
And
then
the,
even when I was there, you know, they sent you to school, you know. They went,
really?
yes, you went to school at the rehab, man.
I
Because I
didn't
remember nothing
realize.
is wrong with my head.
Yes.
Nothing was wrong with my right
Right
hand.
hand.
So I actually went to school. So when they thought I was just coming back, I was a bright girl.
Girl,
Was
you
going
went
to
to
school.
school. I never
Yeah.
realized that they had hospital school back then.
They had a school there up at Mona. So I got uniform and I had to go to school every day.
Wow.
Yes. It was I was just there to do
The
rehab with
rehab
my
for
yes.
yes, yes.
So when I went there, I was actually already ahead
Ahead
of
of the
some of
class.
them when they're putting me
Into the
back into class with
yes.
these little children. So I was bright.
Right. Yes.
So after a time, they realized that I was just getting pure ticks in my book. When they were get teacher just spank them and give them punishment to get the
You
things
got
right.
ahead.
I
Yes.
was ahead of them. So soon I became their friend
Because
because they realized I had to show them the things so that they wouldn't get scolding and they wouldn't get yes. So we soon became friends.
so when did you start writing?
So I grew up now and I realized that although the left hand wasn't functioning right, there was power in my right hand. It's like all of what was belonging to my left hand came into my right hand. So I was going to church. I started going to church because my mom at the time worked at a postal agency, and it opened on Saturdays. And the Sabbath church, the Seventh-day Adventist church, was near our home. I could sit there and hear when church started. So when she was going to church to work on Saturday, she would prepare me, dress me, comb my hair, and say, "Sit down here." And when you hear them start to sing, "Welcome, welcome,"
That Sabbath song.
that Sabbath song, go out to church.
Really?
And you know, in the country church, they take care of the children. Once you go to church,
yes.
they don't worry about food, lunch, or anything. Everybody shared. So that's how I grew up now, and I grew up in Sabbath school. Sabbath school was lovely. I loved Sabbath school, man, and the picture roll and all of
Cradle roll with the flannel and everything.
Yes, the flannel graph.
Yes.
Those were the days. No, the church was just a little dirt floor church, you know. And you know, but it was we were just one family. We didn't have any shoes, you know, we didn't go to church
In shoes.
right? Never had no shoes to go to no church. But church was lovely. So I grew up in that church. And I realized now that they had a lot of activities in the church. And so I grew up learning and realized that I could write a lot of things. I could do the welcome. They always put you up to do welcome. I could do the memory verses. I could remember the memory verses and say, what? And so I was bright. I realized, but I didn't realize that I was bright. Yes, I just know that I could do these things and they would give me these things to do. And so I grew up in the church. No, I grew up, so became till my primary school. I was in grade 6 now, and a new teacher came to the school, and she was teaching my class, and she realized that I was right, gifted, and she said, "You know, I am going to send you up to spelling bee." I said, spelling bee? He said, yes, spelling bee goes on every year and your school has never entered spelling bee. You're going to spelling bee. And she got all the apparatus and the books and two of my friends, three of us, and she said, we're going to spelling bee. And there was a paper named Children's
Oh,
Own.
I know children's own. Yes, yes, yes.
And she said, you can write an article to put in the children's own, you know. I said,
Really?
what? She said, yes. All these articles you see here is school children writing it. It is called Children's Own because it's a children's paper. And she said, yes, I want you to write a composition. And I'm going to get it printed in the children's own. And I remember myself as a donkey was what I wrote. I was the first child in that school to write something and it got printed for the newspaper,
wow.
for children's own.
Well done, you.
That teacher made me know that I could do that. Something. I didn't know. She opened my eyes. So I wrote, and when it came in the children's own, she bring it, come on, everybody show was being shown, yes, showing my name. Yes, so it inspired the children that you can write.
Yes.
And we went to spelling bee. We didn't go far, but it was
opportunity.
New to me. But it was an opportunity that the school never had. So I was
the name of your school?
Albion Mountain Primary.
Okay.
So I was the first child to go to spelling bee from the school, and the first child
to have something printed
in the
wow.
children's own. And that's where it started. I knew that I could write something to go into a paper. That's where I realized that, you know, you are able to do this. You are able to do it.
Now, Marjorie, you spoke about the fact that when you were at the hospital, you looked at the nurses and you said you wanted to be a nurse. Are you now a nurse?
No, I'm not a nurse.
Were you ever a nurse?
Never a nurse. So because I went to high school, even that dreaming in my head. But at that time, you didn't have career guidance as you had it now. So I don't think I got the career guidance.
Yeah.
Because it was after I left high school, I didn't go to sixth form. Because I didn't have to go to sixth form to do nursing. I left high school, going to say I'm going to go to nursing school. And God allowed me to meet somebody who was ahead of me in the same school.
Yes.
And her dream was to do nursing too.
Yes.
And guess what? I was discussing with her how we were now doing national youth service at the at the library. And she was telling me, I saw her squeezing a ball in her hand. I said, what happened to your hand? She said, you know, I was learning to drive and the car turned over with me and I broke my hand. And you know, got it set and now the doctor said I have to squeeze this ball as exercise to get the muscles strong again. And you know, I went to it before I got into the accident, you know, I had applied to do nursing, and when I went to the interview, they told me that I need 2 strong hands to do nursing.
Wow.
And because I had a break in my hand, I wouldn't be strong enough to hold a patient, to lift a patient. I said, that was my aha moment.
Because your accident now said to you.
I said, I can't even grasp with my left hand. If you can't get in, I won't bother to apply.
Yes.
So it was then that I said, all right, I won't apply for nursing. I just got a form from CAS, it was the College of Art, Science and Technology. I applied for something that I had enough GCE to do. And I just applied and went into accounting, business administration.
Okay.
And I went there and I did very well there.
So you're good with words and you're good with numbers.
I just applied myself.
Yes.
I just applied myself to it. But even when I was working, I got a good job in the accounting area, and even when I was there, I realized that I was helping the people. I remember I had a manager one day, and she said to me, Marjorie, the company doesn't employ babies, you know. Why you have babying the people? Why you have to be sitting down and teaching them? They come here with a degree. It was just in
your
me
nature
to be helping them. And new employee coming here, even though you use, yes, you know, they have a degree. This is a strange system. They need to learn. And I was sitting down there and noticing that the lady was seeing me, saying babying the people. But it was just in me to be helped. So I know that the helping was in me. But I did not know that you didn't have to do nursing to
Seem
be
to
in
be
the
in
helping
helping
profession.
profession
There were
or
other
the
helping profession.
yes, yes,
So when I left, I got the opportunity to leave that place of employment by
yes,
redundancy on my choice.
yes,
And I said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now with
yes,
myself?
yes.
And I remember coming to my pastor, it was Pastor Lorenzo
The
King.
king, yes,
And I said, Pastor, I'm leaving the company
yes.
where I work now, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, you don't know what you're going to do. You're a natural counselor. I see you with the young people. I
Yes.
see you around them. As a matter of fact, I'm going up to NCU next week, and you're coming with me. And his wife was a counselor.
Yeah.
So they took me to NCU.
And you did your
And the
master's
rest
in
is history.
yes,
Counseling
yes,
psychology.
psychology.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so all right. So you had your accident as a child. Children call you nine fingers. It didn't bother you. Your teacher saw you're brilliant and encouraged you to do the writing and get your things put you out on a platform. How did all of that impact you in terms of your life as a child of Christ? What connection is there to your spiritual life? Was there any connection to your spiritual life?
Okay. Well, you talk about the injury to my hand.
Yeah.
I didn't pay it any mind. I didn't, as I said, it was my
Yeah,
normal.
yeah, yeah.
So, I guess because I didn't pay any attention to it, others didn't pay any attention to it.
Yes.
I was working at the first company.
Yeah.
It was the Jamaica Public Service
Yeah.
Company. And after knowing somebody for 10 years
Yeah.
working there, one day the lady came up to me and said, what happened to your hand?
I don't believe
I
it.
said, what
10
happened to my
years.
hand? Nothing don't happen to me. She said, no. Was your hand always like that? So you see, it wasn't a problem to me.
Yes.
I didn't make it a problem, and so nobody else made it a problem.
By the way, do you okay? Do you drive?
I tried. And might I say something to you? When I was going for my driver's license, when I applied, they looked at my hand and they said, you have to do driver's license as a disabled person first. Because you're a disabled driver. I said, disabled?
To you, you're not disabled.
Yeah. But they say, yes,
Yeah.
you have an injury, so you have to.
And
It
it is
means that an
permanent.
inspector has to go with you when you're going for your test. I said, the first somebody going and say I'm disabled, the first I'm being called disabled. But when I went to the company that I worked first,
Yes.
you know, they also looked at me and they said, you have a disability. And there is a tax exemption that is given for people with disability. So we are going to apply for it. We're going to show you how to apply for it. Well, they didn't consider me disabled enough to give me any tax exemption.
So you only disabled it some. Oh my days.
Some say I'm
But
disabled,
yes,
some
some
say
say
I'm
you are
not
not
disabled.
disabled.
Right?
Why?
Not wrong with you. You
Yes,
can earn and pay your
100%
taxes.
evidence.
And yet when I went to driver's license, they said
You
you're
had to be.
disabled.
Yeah. But
So,
do you
God,
consider yourself to have a disability?
not at all, not
Yeah.
at all, not at all,
Okay.
not at all.
And
I don't consider myself to have a disability.
disability. And I think for those of us who know you, we don't consider you to have a disability because we see you moving around without any limitations, and you've never allowed your hand to hinder you. I don't even think most people see a hand.
No, they don't. It's possibility. So I don't see that. No, I learned that I don't
Not
have
have a
a disability.
It's
I
just
have
about
possibilities. It
Yeah.
just opened my eyes to possibilities of what I will do. And so the church has impacted me from I was young.
Yes.
I got baptized when I was going to high school. And in the church I grew up to know now. I became AY leader in that rural church. I realized I could write plays, I could write
Many
poems,
plays. Many plays.
I could just write. I don't know where it came from, I could just write. My hand, my head,
Yes.
just work like that. And so, is now, since I get more mature, I realize about giftedness.
Yes.
I am saying that what I lacked in one, God made up more than enough in the other. So, I'm now in the church where I continue writing. I write everything.
Yes.
People just come to me to write everything. And my cousin said to me recently, auntie, you have to make some money from this. You can't just write everything people ask you and just give it. People come and ask you to write um a remembrance, write a tribute for somebody you never met. And you just write this tribute, you just say, tell me about the person. And you just make this beautiful tribute and they go and read it. And you can make money off it. Now you're retired, make some money from it. You write, and then after I when I became after I got my degree in counseling psychology, and I went to another institution to teach. And guess what? I was not to teach, to counsel, and to help to develop young people in the soft skills.
Oh, look at
So
that.
I was teaching them how to create a resume, how to write about themselves. Again, the ability with my hand again just came through, you know. So God, I say God had a purpose. The devil tried to kill me, but the Lord would not have it. The Lord would not have it because He had a purpose mapped out for me. Mapped out for me. So,
If you were to say to anybody who has had a tragedy, um, what words of encouragement would you give them?
oh boy, I would say, listen, it is the it is the purpose of the devil to kill, steal, and destroy. But God is never going to give up who He died for so easily. So He's going to fight for you. So when God fights for you and save you out of a tragedy, you must see it as another opportunity that God has given you. I have learned that. So see it as an opportunity and say, God, what is your purpose? So every day I say, God, what was your purpose for seeing in my head? This is the purpose. You must have a great purpose for me. So look here, don't see it as a tragedy. See it as God fighting for you. God fought the battle and He won the devil. And you're not going to and you're going to give Him your life. Any tragedy you pass through and you did not die, it means that God allowed you to live and declare His power. That's how I see it. I shall not die, but I shall live to declare the power of God. That's how I see it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that you are just in awe of this wonderful story. I have known her for over 30 years, as I've said, and I've always been able to drink at her feet. Creativity, AY leader, youth sponsor, elder. The the church members know her and love her. They would go to her house every Sabbath for lunch. They would leave their church in Portmore and come to her house. Portmore is the church that she attends, and people from Brayton will be coming from Brayton to her home. They pass in their home and come to her home for lunch. That was the impact of Sister T on them. They enjoyed being with her, and I'm so happy that I've had the opportunity to talk with you, to share your story, which I find very inspirational. And I've always been inspired by you and encouraged and motivated by you. You know, um, I want you to tell, as we wind up, if you were to say to the listeners about something that confirms for you it is possible, what would it be?
Um, it is possible. You know, it is possible to surmount challenges. It is possible to find your purpose when you walk in the way of the Lord. It is possible to make your tragedy, what you call a tragedy, or stumbling blocks in your life, to make them not stumbling block, but a platform where you can stand on. It is possible to overcome. I used this hand to teach the when I used to be in the institution to teach young people, I used it to teach them about self-esteem. I didn't know that I would hold up the hand
Yes.
and say, look at my hand.
Yes.
Yes? I would walk with it in my pocket and wear only long sleeve clothes to hide it from people.
Yes.
And then I would draw attention to myself. Yes? But in declaring it open, I don't see it as a tragedy. I see it as what God has made possible through this tragedy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It is what God has made possible through the tragedy. Sister T, elder, mother, wife, I could spend another hour sharing with you. We haven't even spoken about her family, her wonderful husband and wonderful son, and the love story and all of that. But it has been a pleasure. I am so happy. I am so happy that I had the time to even share this little bit of your life with my listeners.
My pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is it for another It Is Possible Tuesday with Sanjo. My members, my listeners, remember, be a dreamer, a doer, a thinker. See possibility everywhere. Because you are alive, everything is possible. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Thank you, and see you next time.
When I call on Jesus, all things are possible. I can mount on wings like eagles and soar. When I call on Jesus, mountains are gonna fall. 'Cause he'll move heaven and earth to